Hello, welcome in. Hope everyone's had a good week. It is Friday evening. The week is over. For me, work is over for the year. I am out. Done with work. Oh my god. The Kirby camera is like moving on its own. It's like haunted by the ghost of Kirby's past. I feel like it is slowly. It's just the way the cable is. I'll just have to occasionally keep poking it and being like, nope, go that way. Anyway, there's no Kirby's on there just now. There should be redeems to add and remove Kirby's. I'm not going to remove the big... Well, you know, I'll maybe remove the big Kirby if someone tries to make me. But hey, we're going to play Kirby's Dream Land 2. The second Kirby's Dream Land and the third Kirby game? Excluding, you know, side games and stuff. I'm going to delete this save file. Oh my god, Kirby's just put the bomb in his mouth. Guess we're going to go to different planets this one. Grassland. So I don't really have a lot of experience with this one. I've played like the first few levels of it before. I know it's the one that kind of introduces the like animal friends. It's the first Game Boy one to have copy abilities, because obviously the first Dreamland didn't have that. And it has these little collectible stars that I don't know if they're important. I should probably have looked up what they do. We're not gonna worry too much about getting those unless the game makes us. Like, I'm going to collect them if I see them. I'm not going to go out of my way 100% there. Finally, a copy ability. What a surprising amount of time without one. But if people haven't been watching these, Kirby Dream Land 1 was a Game Boy game. We played that a bit ago. And that game didn't have copy abilities. It was the first Kirby game. You could, you know, eat things, but you couldn't get powers from them. And then Kirby's Adventure on the NES introduced the copy ability stuff. We played through that recently as well, and that game was fantastic. I was surprised by how much that game held up. Dreamland was really good as well, but there was something about Adventure that it just held up incredibly well. Right, we got all the stars. Oh, and we got one up. Get rid of this umbrella. I really don't like the umbrella power. From what I understand though, this one is a bit longer than Dreamland and Adventure, so we probably won't finish this in one stream. Well, honestly, even Adventure was long. We probably shouldn't have done that in one stream. Oh god. Give my power back. Okay, everything's respawned, I need to start going back. Almost got them. With this thing. Like spike ball guy. So yeah, this game introduces these, like you get hamster dudes. I have this guy. This guy. There's no light on him when I put him this close to the camera. I got this in like a kind of blind bag thing. So, I don't know, it's nice though. Oh no, think about it, it's actually... It's pretty solid. Anyway. But yeah, this hamster guy can shoot fireballs. He has a name. Well, doesn't tell you here. You see him dance around though. So that's a good pause screen. The game looks nice as well. We chose this color palette. I let people vote on it in Discord. Anyone that's not in, you can do !TOS to get TOS Discord link, but I let people vote on which one we should use because there's the Analog Pocket gives you a handful of options, which I believe are the options that you got if you... Oh, I got rid of the fireball. So I guess hamster can just eat things usually. That makes sense. I got like none of those starbits. I only got 2 of them. I must have missed like a chunk of that level. But yeah, we ended up picking this blue one. It won by... It had 5 votes, I believe, and next best one was the ROM hack, which has like full color, and honestly looks better than... It looks better than Adventure did. Like they did some good work with... I think it's that thing where the Game Boy Color was capable of quite a lot of stuff. Or maybe there just isn't enough of those starbits to fill up your... Come on, get out! Do I need to ditch my hamster friend? Is this a Yoshi situation? Can I ditch my hamster friend? I can. Okay. Goodbye, hamster. Just jump into the enemy and die. But yeah, the ROM hack for this is just called Kirby's Dream Land DX. I definitely recommend it if you own... Yeah, it doesn't matter if you own anything, as you can emulate it. I want that thing. Get back in there. Maybe come back. The door's still there, so that kind of implies we must come back. There's a star there. I said I wasn't going out of my way to collect all these and I'm already going back. There's no... Oh, god, I jumped. There's no dash in this game, I don't think. It's just your default walk speed. No sliding down slopes either. Okay, so I guess you just get an extra life when you kill the stars. And that's the end of the level. Interesting. Do any of you have a power? I guess the umbrella does. I don't think the umbrella is going to be the thing that gets me into that room though. Let's check. Like, I don't see how... Oh, well, you know what? I'm robbed. We go wherever that is. I don't know what that is, but we got it. The space, American football. I think so far the umbrella and the fireball are the only 2 powers we've seen. I wonder if there's like less of them in this? Because Game Boy cartridges were definitely, you know, a bit more limited. I'd be interested to see. But I have to say, so far I'm liking this. It feels good. It's a solid B Kirby game. Nothing seems to have changed here. Yeah, I don't know what that collectible thing was. Oh god. Tree's messed up. Goodbye. I didn't know there was like a version of the tree boss, the wispy wood that was messed up. Okay, so there's a symbol's over this now, so I guess that just means there's one of those to collect. Maybe on each planet. Interesting. Oh, we're gonna get a bird friend. I like the music in this one. Oh, I want that guy. Give me your power. Way more interesting than the umbrella power. Oh my god, let me up! Whatever. So it's just let us fly faster? We kind of hover a bit better as well. It's not bad. Oh god. Can't eat that. Okay, so the fireball gives us like a kind of dive bomb, kind of. Well. It's kind of cool they all have like their own movesets. I wonder if there's going to be limited types of powers as a result though. Oh, I say as we instantly get a new one. Oh, that one seems good. Extra life. Seconds. Alright, I'm back. I'm back. Which one was this? This one. Let's go! Alright. Yeah, this tower seems good. It's just such a wide shot. Oh, these dudes are all dead. Yeah, so far I'm liking this game. It's like the animal allies are kind of like a good kind of new mechanic to shake things up. Collecting all the stars to get one-ups is maybe, I mean, it's fine, but it's not as interesting. Yeah, different animals with the, and the way that it kind of reminds me almost of Kirby 64, which we'll get to later, obviously, but way that you can combine power-ups, but you're not really combining power-ups unless you're combining like one animal with a power-up. The Kirby 64's whole thing is that you know, you might get like the fire power-up and the sword power-up, and it gives you a flame sword, and so on and so forth. And it's, oops, didn't mean that. And it's a really good system. Like, I'm actually really looking forward to when we get Kirby 64. Which I don't think is too far down the list. Like, I don't think there's too many Kirby games for 64. Like, there's this, then there's 2 Super Nintendo ones. I think that's it. Like, I don't think there's any more Game Boy ones until we get to the Game Boy Advance games. Which I'm also very looking forward to. Those are going to be great. The Amazing Mirror streams are definitely going to be me getting just completely lost for huge amounts of time. Because that game is a maze. No. No! I kinda want to see what the umbrella power looks like with the... Oh my god. Alright, that's pretty fun. Oh, it goes away after time. Oh no, it doesn't. It just goes away when you're not used to it. No. This doesn't do a lot of damage though. I guess I can't have them multiple times. Oh. Sorry, Bard. We're going with this blob. Oh, he went away! What? My blob. Wow. We'll never see what that guy's like. I want the spike part. I've not messed up in here. I was kind of wondering, 'cause we're kind of far at this level at this point. We've not seen another one of those space footballs. I don't know what that is. It's dead now. Ooh, missed it. Because yeah, that's the boss. I'm gonna check. They're called rainbow drops. One rainbow drop is hidden on each island. Collecting all 7 is required to get the true ending of the game. Rainbow drops are typically difficult to find, requiring tedious and convoluted methods to reach. So I guess we can just use a guide for this then. Oh my god, right, this one's... Okay. We have the spike ability. Nope, not this one. We need to go to level 2. Didn't know this door was here. Now, can we exit out the stage or... Let's check. Okay, so we have it. Oh jeez. Oh jeez. I messed up entirely. This boss is so much like the other boss from Dreamland. I also kept dying against. Okay, there was 2 of them. Oh god, oh god, oh god. You might die here. I have to use one of those many extra lives we've collected. Oh, damn it. I tried to go down. Of course I just ate the thing. Oh, well, can't eat those. Can't eat those. I did a ton of damage that time. Damn it. He like summoned another one. Gum. Right. Level 2 down? Or island 2 down. I do like this kind of map layout. Like, these areas are smaller than Kirby's Adventure, but it's a cool way to split them up. Right, we don't need to worry about this thing until stage 3. Oh, weird. You spit stuff out underwater, it just kind of stops. It has no momentum. Which I guess kind of makes sense? Sort of, as far as anything makes sense in terms of Kirby's abilities. Oh, here we go. Alright, at least I can go down hills. Oh, I'm trying to get that box. It's fine. we go. There's no one over there. That's fine. Now that I kind of know they just give extra lives, so I don't really care about collecting those stars as much. Though they're like an actual collectible. And you can spit underwater now, which you couldn't do in Dreamland 1. It does just feel like a more fully fledged game in general. I see. One of those levels. Gimme. Guess we'll probably get something that lets us swim faster? Oh, we're probably gonna get let's go back over here. Go in this door. We're probably gonna get a new animal friend. This cute jellyfish. Probably could eat those. Maybe not. It's that we have to do. Oh. Oh my god, we're just in its mouth. That's pretty good. Now I suppose we do this? Fish is just eating us. At least now Kirby knows how it feels. I think it's only fair. Oh, nice. Get a nighttime silhouette stage. The fish's face, it looks like so shocked when these spikes come out. Right, what's your... Oh, that's pretty good. I kinda want to see what the fireball looks like, but I also kinda... I'll see it at some point, I'm sure. Let's get up here. I think I messed that one up. Still did alright. Didn't get an extra life, but we got an extra life. So the next one of these is in this level. Let's see. In the second section, drop down the hole halfway down the path to fall into an underwater area. Okay, we'll do that later. Second area. Hole in the middle path. I feel like maybe we should have stayed on the ground. This must be second area. can't. I just can't hit that one. This one? This was like on the board here. Oh, that's just a star. Okay, there's a platform in the center. I see. Here. I don't know, this just seems like stars as well. Huh. There's a hidden door in here that if you have the spark ability will light up and you can see it. But I can't see it. Well, that's annoying. Oh, it's there. Okay. But can we even get in without the spark ability now? That's annoying. Right, we're gonna have to come back and do this again. Oh, alright, let's see if we can find a spark ability. I can see why they said these are tedious. Because that last one we need the spike ability and it wasn't in the level. So I assume it's probably the same here. Let's just ditch this power for now. Oh, can we even get back out of here? You guys are useless to me. That's... I mean, the rock power's not the one I need, but it's probably okay. Or try to destroy a thing below us. Rock power might actually be okay. Oh my god, stop killing yourself. Right, we might not have to get this rock power. Let's go back. I think because I destroyed the platform it was spawning on, it's taken no time now. It's just falling to its death from the start. Double check there's no other things over here, and then... Oh god. I'm gonna die. That's not... Well, I guess I don't know what the fireball does with the fish. But maybe it does let me hurt things. The same thing again. Right, let's just keep going. We'll come back and do this at the start. We can just exit out and we get it anyway. Oh, we can get the fish again as well. Because I messed that up. But it's fine, because we're probably gonna die. Whoops. Okay. I'm just getting hit by all these, like I'm trying to do the spit attack and it's just not... I need to just be doing it at all times. Oh my god. Section's like so difficult without powers. Well, let's back out. Oh no, we can't until we finish level. Okay. Just hold it, I guess. Yeah, seems to be working. Maybe it's my issue is letting go. Like maybe the wind up time is just long enough that it's like, yeah. Right, let's go get the fish, get spark power. Fish was the second level, right? I think. Let's see this one before. Oh yeah, the fish was in here. Okay, buddy, do your thing. Oh, that thing. Breaking out the new moves. That one was entirely on me. Right, so I definitely can eat those lightning bolts. Which is not surprising. But you know, I had to check once. I don't know why I did that again. Come on. Spark power. Fish friend. Out of here. It does literally turn into a light bulb. Oh, what an annoying noise. Literally shoot light bulbs out as well. A fun power. I do appreciate, you know, them making a game like this that is so cute, has fantastic music and sound effects, and then putting this noise in. It's like terrible. Now we can see the door. That's how we're meant to do it. So presumably, it'd be kind of fucked up if this didn't smash these. Huh? Not a good start. What the fuck? Yeah, it says here, once you have the rainbow drop, once you're in here, you have to use the stone power. How are you with... Right. This game's alright, but... these things are irritating. No! That was the exact thing I didn't want to do. It doesn't help that the fish moves so terribly outside of water. Which it makes sense as a fish. So, right up there. Give me a rock power. Come on. Oh, it looks so sad. Why did they make the fish look all sad when it does that? That's messed up. Now, you get the rainbow drop. Oh. Finally. We can leave? Yeah, we already beat this level. How many stages are there? I'm in the third one. Looks like there's 7? We're making a good time. Oh, I don't think we want this power. This is not a good power for this. The fish is definitely good for us though. Oh jeez. The fish there we're definitely about to lose. Come on. Oh, please, just... No! What is this? I don't know how we didn't get out there. The game was very lenient. Alright, we did it. I thought for sure we were fucked. Oh, we get a fish dance. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of this god-forsaken underwater level. Iceberg. I like ice levels. I'm cool with this. This one's got 4 stages. And in fact, the 4th stage is the one that we need to get a thing on. In fact, let me check. Before we even do these stages, let me see what power-ups I need to get the fucking 4th one of these. Fishes require fish rainbow drop. We also need a burning ability. Easily between... Okay, so we need the fire ability. Oh my god. Dude, it seems like a nightmare. Which is kind of fun, in a way. I feel like I was playing this normally and not trying to get everything. I'd probably have fun trying to figure out the best way to get the powers to the right place. Come on. Alright, you fuck off then. This is probably the worst power to have here. That one though. Need. Damn it. That was the power I needed. I think this is that's the only guy that dropped it. Oh, he respawned. Okay. Fine, let's get rid of this guy over here. Go away. You, go away. You. Right, so we have the firepower. We need to try and keep it till stage 4. I would rather have the hamster, but apparently we need the fish, so... Well, we lost that power already. It's fine. Got it. This thing does not want to die. Oh my god. Oh, the music's way better when you don't have a... I guess each of the animal companions has like its own song. But the like actual level music is, you know, it's not theirs or because of it. Which is kind of annoying. I'd like to hear all the level music. But it seems like the best thing to do is to have one of these animal like dudes. These good penguins. Oh jeez. Oh jeez. Okay, dice power's pretty good in this one. I mean, dice power's pretty good in most Kirby games. Generally one of my favourites. Turning dudes into blocks and launching them. Oh my god. The hamster's one of the range attack just throws Kirby. Oh god. I thought I jumped there, but apparently I didn't. Please just keep doing this. No, don't do something different. That scares me. Okay, that's pretty fun. Game's got some fun stuff going on. Hey, hell. Anyhow. Did we get high enough to get health? We did. Not all of our health. Oh no, we did! Okay. That's good. We needed that. Nice life would have been good. So we'll need to come back and get the power-up stuff here, but that's fine. We'll just play the levels. Oh, you can't jump when you're on the... Oh. You can't float when you're on a hamster either. Oops. Right, at least we get to hear some of the music. The weird choice to make the animals change the music. Oh my god, there's two doors. Oh, I go on the left one because it's harder. Oh my god, actually I just can't get it. Right, fine. I think I need either of these. Please stop. It's a strange choice to have the animals have their own music, because it just means you don't hear the level music. Go on, buddy. Oh, I probably should have taken that, but it's fine. Fly against the wind. Okay, shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have done that. Get hit by all these. Keep forgetting they bounce. And you're thinking, oh, they've hit the ground, I'm done. But no. Probably go down there if we had some kind of fire ability. Thank you. One up. Oh god, this thing. I hate these things. I don't think we can part them. Oh, Bart friend's dead. It's so weird that they give you an option of different powers when you need to use the fire to go forward. Weird choice. Like a little quiz. Be like, have you been paying attention? Do you remember which one of these gives you fire? The one that bursts into flames. Just in case. Oh my god, no. Ah. Oh my god, stop running into everything. He's showing his butt. Lewd. Can't show that on Twitch. Gotta take this guy out before he gets his banned. I don't want nice power. I do want the fish though. Come on. Come on. Come on. It's weird, you need to like... You can't do that right against the wall. It's a weird thing. I feel like I've said that a few times now about stuff in this game. Oh no. Oh, I got it back. Okay. I want my fireball. But I can't go up now. Right. Dead. Well, I lost both the things I wanted there. At least I know I can get the fish back in this level. I can get both the power up and the fish in this level. Oh my god. Don't die. Don't die. Don't die. Oof. Don't die. Right, let's get the fish back. We already have the fireball. Oh. Keep that. Stop, shut off your butt. Can't do that. So now we need to keep it all the way to the third section in the next level. It's gonna be tough. Wait. Oh, you can get them both here. I'm an idiot. This guide I'm looking at is not very clear. That's gonna be a fish as well, right? Oh no, it's a blob. We still don't use the blob, but we're gonna stick with the fish for now because this thing says to use the fish. So far it's been not a useful guide. Well... Stop throwing springy dudes at me, what the fuck? What's this level? Oh my god. This is the third level? Okay, this doesn't seem... Well, we lost the firepower. Right, there are more of them as. Alright, so this is probably third stage. It says go down the middle. Oh no 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 no. Thank you. Be careful because I've only got 2 hits left on this fish. Is this the middle section? It says don't melt. Nope, that's just spikes. We're gonna die now. Oh my god. It's a weird level. Let's see where we have to go anyway. Because this is the middle where you melt those. This is not to melt these. Keep going. Right, so that is actually the end of the level as well. If we go back and get the fish, we don't need to worry about the fire because you can get it right before you go in that room. Weird to me, the fish though. Although again, this guide is not necessarily much trustworthy, I feel. Okay. Let's fight this dude again. You have your little tantrum. Show us your butt. Come on. Take the ice bar for now. Actually no, let's get rid of it. So we're gonna get fire right away. No! Shit. That's not where I meant to go. I need you to do something that I can grab. Come on. I probably could hit that. Finally, we landed a hit. Oh, I'm definitely going to die. It's fine. Actually, well, it's probably easier without the fish. Just let him go. We can get the fish after. Come on. No. I tried to jump. I hit the wrong button. Right now I might die. Oh. No. God. God damn it. Oh, and we're stuck in here too. We can't even leave. to survive the full time with bone saw. That thing moves too fast, I don't think we can eat it. But now we know. I think it's just the ones coming from the ceiling. Come on, do your thing. I'm gonna die. Don't do that. Oh my god. Just barely. Just barely. Right, let's go back here. Go get the fish. Enough of that. We can use this one. It worked, but not in a super effective way. Come on. Do the thing. Right, now we leave, and this time we go in the right goddamn door. Right, we need this fire move. It doesn't matter if we keep this fire move. We can get a different one. A bunch of the room before the room we have to go in. Oh, I'm losing so much health already. Right, you give me that. Oh, this spring dude is so annoying. I got stuck behind the block. Nope, not without the fish. One more time. Yeah, I think I need the fish because part of the bit is underwater, and you can't use fireballs underwater unless you're in the fish. I think that's what we have to do. Come on. Show me what you got. Dead. Go. Exit. Why would you do that? Why are you like this? Weird spiky boy. Why are you the way you are? Who hurt you? Right. We only have 3 hits, which is not a lot. think this level is one of the more annoying ones I've seen. Oh my god. Right, well, that's fine, because we can get the power back. Only having 2 hits is maybe not fine, but we'll figure it out. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Those things are annoying. Right. We have 1 hit. Let's be very careful. Not this one. Oh my god. No way. Oh my god. Stop it. So we're down here. We don't want to do those, we want to do these. Oh my god, don't die, don't die, don't die. Wait, how are we meant to... Yeah, see, I need to get rid of the fire. Because I've got the fish, I could do that. Huh. Now what? Oh my god. You need to bring the fire power in here. You need to like eat the thing and then eat the power back again. Oh my god. Alright, this stuff sucks. There's no fire power in here. Right, let's do it one more time and I'm gonna save state. I want to see whatever the trend it is. I don't want to just not see it. If I'm gonna stream this game, I'll stream the whole thing. Come on. Right, back we go. We get our firepower. See, that's what I would have thought this guy would do. But he keeps doing that. Right. Oh, that one's random because it's hamster this time. Right, I've save stated. Come on. Right, now I don't need to worry about the spring nodes anymore. I need to worry about this though. Oh my god, I'm dead. Right. Memories, save states. Kirby. Very rare that I will save state on stream. Oh my god. But that's just annoying. That one I should have just left. I should have just left it, because if we lose the fire it's fine, because we can get it back at the end. If anything, it might be a bit easier without the fire, because then we can get rid of those blocks easier. Look up here. Get rid of these easier. You. Save state again. Although we've got tons of health and stuff, we should be fine. As long as we're not silly. Could just win. The star up on all these enemies is so slow, I can just go. Right. So now what I need to... One, kill that guy. Two, kill this guy. I don't really need to do that, but it'll make it easier. What I need to do is I need to drop this. Do that, and then quickly pick up again. Oh, I need to do that twice as well. Oh my god. That's such a weird thing to put into a Kirby game. Like, I can't think of another one that asks you for that level of precision with swapping abilities out. Hey, we did it. On to the 5th area, I guess? No minigames in this either, actually, so far. Which Dreamland 1 didn't have either, but Adventure definitely introduced. Right, what am I looking for in Red Canyon 5? Red Canyon, sorry, stage 5. We need Rick. Who's Rick? It's Rick the bird? No, Rick is the hamster. Can heal any of the sparkle... Okay, so we just need to come into that level of the hamster. But for a while. I'm ditching this fucking fish. Hey, buddy. This doesn't seem like the fastest way to kill you. Maybe faster if I hit you, I suppose. Is our buddy Rick? I guess. Rick the hamster. Oh my god. I do like the music, but I do kind of think it's weird that you could theoretically go through like a lot of the game without hearing the actual level music. I think this is the ability we need as well, but we're definitely not going to keep both these all the way to stage 5, that'd be weird. Unless this is just... I was about to say unless I do amazingly, but I've already not done that. Right, screw that Starbit thing. Got a 1-up though, and then died. The good thing we got a 1-up, because we instantly lost it. Alright, we'll come back and get Brick later. Come on, let's take this one. Oh, I think that was a new power. It's fine, I'm sure we'll get another chance to get it. It's not gonna be like, that was your one chance to get sword. Hide. Do you do the... Oh, you do. You shoot the little... I'll put your out. Yeah, I know I've been doing it, I just not been noticing. Because I don't think Adventure had that. Dreamland definitely didn't. Oops. Oh, watch out, get low on health. Hi, buddy. Oh, jeez. Oh, it's just the car ability. I thought he was gonna give me some cool, like, ninja star thing, but it is just the ability I already have. I don't like these auto-scrolling ones. It's not the game's strong point. You could just die in dumb ways like that. Oh, not a fan of that. Alright. Up or down, up or down, up or down, squat. It doesn't matter. Oh no, I should have went down. I was gonna say it doesn't matter, but it definitely did. Could've got a tomato up there. Oh my god, getting the thing. I don't care about the 1-up. Didn't get one here! I'm so good at timing that. I'm amazing at it. That's the Kirby cam has moved again. Oh, it wasn't a sword, it was like a... Hey buddy. Can you do something in a way that lets me... Right here? Oh. That was easy. What's up relative to fish? Not much. No! Oh no, I keep forgetting I can't fly with the animals, except with the bird, obviously. Well, still have them now, so problem solved, I guess, kinda. Or if it's gonna be like something I could only have gotten. These guys. I guess this stuff would be easier if we had. Oh, I could have been in there. What was in there? Well, if it was nice, so I forgot something good. Bake 'em. I didn't realise I was that low in health. Whoops. Let's go left this time. Well, that makes a difference. We did it. We did it. Oh god. Hey, you just... Oh god, it's fine. Hey buddy. I'd like you to not do that, ideally. Actually, every attack this guy has seems to let me do damage, which is not true for, you know, not true for every mini-boss, so I actually quite like that one. Give me the Bard. Fly over all these guys, I guess. Oh, my brain just shut down for a second there. Explode. That's how they've always worked, but you know, I forget things. Ah, alright, okay, it's fine. We don't need that silly bird anyway. We do need stuff for the next stage though. We need hamster brick. Do you think we go on the first stage? Can we get brick in here? Yeah. No, don't do that. Don't do that either. That one's okay. I tried to duck. Just throw the star. Please, just throw the goddamn star. Okay, my hamster friend. Right, let's get out here. Stage 5. How far into we get? Let's see. Helium, which we've got the Sparkability now anyway. Keep wrecking Sparkability till you get to the rainbow drop room. So I guess we will just get through it. Let's see. There's like an auto-scroller section. Okay, we can't use those other bar, that's gonna be annoying. Ah, that's bad. We needed that. I don't think we're gonna get another one of those. That's going to be an inconvenience. Oh, there's one here. Okay. Let me out of the water. This thing said for sure I needed wreck in this, but I don't know how I'm gonna get out of the water here. So, just work that thing. This is a door bar. Any? Your health. All scroller. No, 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 no. I need that. I don't know if this is the right auto-scroller. I think there's a lot of auto-scrollers in this level. A lot of auto-scrollers in this game. It's not really a strong point. I just don't think auto-scrollers are very good in general. Like, they're definitely one of the weaker things in platformers. Come on, no! I managed to save that. Well, there's the door. But we want to go to that door. Oh, come on! I fucked up. Fucked up. Can we get through it with a spike? No. We were so close. We can go back through the level, I guess. No, we can't. We just go here. Well, at least I know where it is now. You motherfucker. There's no way I can get back now. That's just mean. Alright, at least we finished the level with the stuff we need, so we can just go back in. We got an extra life. We got 2 extra lives for that. I'll take that. Right, let's try again. Let's try again and not fuck up this time. I instantly fucked up. They just not get hit. Although it kind of doesn't matter that much because there's one at the end of the level, or the section. I'd rather not get hit. It's health on that one, but I've got basically full health. I just need to not panic during this auto-scroller and I should be fine. If I panic, I start rushing and then I get hit. I kind of don't need to worry about it at the end of the level where I lost it last time because the scrolling stops, it seems like. It's just there to scare you. No! No, 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 no! Oh god, maybe it's not just there to scare me. Oh fuck. Alright, I did it. I did it. After that. See, if going one direction doesn't work, I'm gonna scream. We did it. Whew. Right. Exit that. Hey, the boss. Oh, it's these guys. These guys are in like every Kirby game. And they were a pain in the ass in one of them. I forget which one it was. Was it Dreamland? There was a adventure that I had that real... Oh! It's behind the moon when that happens. That's an annoying one. Okay. I don't like that they have separate health bars. No, 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 no. No sprint as far as I can tell. Like, you can't do the double tap to sprint the other Kirby games have. I just need to get over there as quickly as I can. Sometimes it's just not possible. Oh, I'm gonna die. I'm so gonna die. Buddy, please don't hurt me. Right. Oh no! I was about to say one down, but I am also down. I'm starting with this one this time, eh? Changing things up a bit. Taking it easy on me. Oh, very much taking it easy on me this time. Right, one down. Two down. We did it. Do. We might get through this whole level, this whole game, this stream actually. I thought this would take 2 streams. Because I thought it was longer than the adventure, but it seems like it's kind of similar. There's 7 islands as far as I can tell. Actually, I could be wrong, it might be 8. Let's see. Oh my god, this one seems so complicated. I need to use save states for this. We need the fish. And this guy doesn't make it sound... It doesn't make it sound like there is a fish to get at this level. I might need to go back to a previous world. I don't remember which one I got the fish from. This level looks nice though. Oh god, don't die. It's got nice backgrounds. I'm definitely always surprised by what they managed to like pull out of the consoles they're on with these games. Like the first Dreamland, this is a Game Boy game. Like original Game Boy, not even Game Boy Color, and this is... It looks really nice. Like there's a lot going on. Hello, how's it going? Banana blocks. This is not the animal we need, but fine. We'll keep him until he dies. Oh my god. That was annoying. Probably easier without the hamster then. We can just fly. These weren't here before, were they? I missed all these last time. Because I was just too focused on trying not to get my hamster killed. Oh my god. Right, we're gonna go back to the previous world to get fish. Come on. Yeah. Right, let's go back to... I don't remember which world we got the fish in actually, but let's check one of the previous ones. Which other one do we need the fish for, I guess? The iceberg one. Oh, you know what? Which one had a fish? The fish world. This one had a fish. Was this the fish or was the fish like up here? Oh, it's just the stars up here. Okay. I think the fish is just in here. Yeah, I remember this level. Come on. Fight me. Do your thing. I really should grab one of their bellies. Shouldn't have done that. That's not what I wanted. Give me the fish. Right. Back out. So. Can we, okay. Push ability, progress. At the second section, jump to the highest platform and then fall straight down to reach a small pool. Go through it and swim to the left. Oh my god, this seems like a pain. I'm gonna use safety stuff. I think it's kind of essential. So this is safety here. It sounds like it's going to make me drop this. Get an ice power up soon. No! Not my finest moment. Get rid of that, so I don't do that again. I think he's got an axe. Oh, this is a sword guy. I wonder if Meta Knight's gonna show up. It kinda reminds me of all of the things Meta Knight had. Hello, Kashi, how's it going? Welcome in. Hope your day's going well.
The Kirby.
Oh. Redeeming all of the Kirbys. We'll start with the new ones, I think.
Add a Kirby. Add a Kirby.
The Kirby. Right, so we have 3 of them, right? Give me a second, I'm going to mute. I need to rotate this. I don't know why, I kind of know why, but... This keeps rotating around. You hanging with pals for Thongmans. What's that? What's Thongmans thing? I think I missed that. Also, 7 AM's bad. 7 AM's a bad time to wake up. Especially because it's the weekend for you, right? Yeah, I'm not in Thongman's Discord, I should have joined. The thing about us all having... I say us all, I don't have one, but everyone having separate Discords. Which is one of the good things about the TOS one is... You can at least catch up on some of the crossover stuff. Right, I'm looking at a guide because there's like kind of annoying collectibles here. Also here, let me give you a bonus. Since he's not a Kirby. I love this VDVD. Come on, focus camera, focus. Like, he's so cute. He's adorable. Right. Thank you. I'll join after this. I'm trying to get all the collectibles in this, because there's 7 of them, and they unlock like the real ending of the game. But they're a pain in the ass. So at the second section, which I think is where we are now, come to the highest platform, then fall straight down. So I think this is the highest platform. Yeah, cool. Ah, this is where we want to be. So, we're gonna have to fight a dude. No! We needed that fish. Well, this is why I save stated. Very ingredients, you're hungry, that's unfortunate. Yeah, I'm definitely always hungrier in the morning if I wake up early. If I wake up late, I'm just like, whatever. Right. Get rid of this. Please just throw the star thing at me again. I don't know if this is the guy we had to kill. No. Yeah, I'm feeling alright. I'm still a little bit of a cough here and there, but not too bad. Definitely a lot better than I was feeling earlier in the week. There's the blob guy. Hey, buddy. Oh, it gives us health if we collect them. That's pretty good. Right. Let's save state again. So, we want to do that again now. Oh, no, we need that. Right. No COVID symptoms, that's good. I was slightly worried that I had COVID, but it went away so quickly, it probably was not. Hey Chronicle, how's it going? Welcome in. How's your Friday going? Depends. What did you get? Some kind of bad cold, kind of coughing thing? It seems to be going around, but I mean it's the time of year. There's always something. I think we just want to keep going this way. This doesn't seem right. No! Oh my god, please. Don't kill me. Oh geez, definitely not the same as you then. Are you alright? It's a bad one. I wasn't anywhere near as bad as that. Right, let's reload the save state. Okay, this is... Wait, let me read the things here we're going to go. Okay, we're going to get a hamster soon. Actually, we kind of don't need the fish, I don't think, anymore. Oh, this one's elaborate. Oh, no, okay, we did need that power up though. We don't need the fish, but we do need the power up. So I can't do that. Food big guy stream with Disney and do not even remember collapsing. Romero, that's bad, man. That's Let's go to a doctor level bad. The fish looks strange because it has Kirby in its mouth. This block is fucking insane. Look, the fish is a friend, it's fine. Oh, thank God he's dead. Right. Now we should get a hamster instead. Here's our hamster buddy. Who I have. I have a hamster buddy. I have this hamster guy. His name's Rick. Rick the hamster. I got this in like a blind bag thing. Yeah, great Chronicle. Hope you're taking it easy looking after yourself. That's unfortunate. We'll write this time and enter the following section, then use the Rick Spark ability to destroy star blows. Okay, so we're going right. Destroy these. This is all we needed these for? Destroy these? Then this gets us... I don't know if we need this power, but I'm going to keep it anyway. This gets us a bird friend. Spent 3 days with her already, that's plenty. That's true. I mean, I don't know specifically for your case, but I know that's how I feel about spending time with my family. I'm like, 3 days? Done. I think I'm only going home for 3 days of Christmas this year. Fly right. Restore boss battle. We need to get the cutter ability. Oh my god. This one's so elaborate. I guess we just need one that door. Right, we killed this guy. Just freaking vomit sparks on him. On the right side. Oh damn it! I needed to. Can I redo that? Please let me redo that. Oh thank God! I need his ability. It's kind of the whole point of fighting him. On the bright side though, today was my last day of work before Christmas. I'm off for 2 weeks now. I'm very happy about it. Which might mean more streams. Not sure yet. Give me the... Damn it, I need to do it again. At least this power makes this mini boss fight like completely trivial. Hardest bit is picking up the power at the end. Right. You go away. I want to eat that guy. There we go. But yeah, god damn it, I instantly lost the power. It's fine, got it back. Kirby does have many friends in this game. This game introduces 3 animal friends. And it's a cool mechanic because when you get your copy abilities, it slightly changes things. I don't think we want to go through that door. I think we want to go back through this door. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Let's see. Take car ability, allow yourself to get blown back to the left. Enter the door there to reach the rainbow drop room. So this door. Yes. Here we go. All of that to get that power up. Like my new business model of having AI tits on screen at all times is not going to work, I'm afraid. Instead, we'll settle for having all these Kirbys. Much easier than sewing. I bet. Hang out up here, I guess. Rain death from above. Oh, now we're underwater. Can we still? Oh, we can still do this underwater. Range is just way shorter. Live with that. The good thing is now we don't need to worry about doing any convoluted stuff for collectibles till the next area. This is just the last. The next few levels are just levels. Just focus on enjoying the levels. With tits. Oh. Come on. Come on. Come on. No, 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 no. There's like air currents here. It's gonna be cool. I'm sure it's gonna look a visual thing of them, but... Come on. Come on. Go in the hole. Right, we managed to pick the side that doesn't have any of these. Just let me hit the thing. Yeah, Cash, I can't believe you're stealing my viewers. Right, fine. We're gonna be regular ass Kirby. Oh god, have we died? Sabotage. You're sabotaging my streams. I don't need help sabotaging my streams. I could do that all on my own, thank you. Watching friendships crumble. Who is it that's playing? Only top level Kirby. This is definitely not the place for top level Kirby. I'm not an esports level Kirby player. I'm gonna die again actually. I didn't realize I'd taken that many hits. Ah, nice. I'm dead. I couldn't move once it ducked. That does explain why it's such a quiet night. I was wondering. But I mean also it's Friday. I feel like Fridays are often quite quiet. Like, Sakurai wouldn't mind. Nintendo, though, in general, would definitely be like, done. Right, I've already lost almost all my health. Now I'm going to die. This level's... a pain. That's the end of the level though. We made it. He did introduce tripping, that is true. That is true, Cassie. Oh god. Yeah, I mean, I'm here and you know, it's a late night thing for me all times. You know, I stream till like 1 in the morning on Mondays most of the time. That's it. My late night Monday stream will actually be a late night stream for you, it won't be a thing you listen to on the way to work stream. Hey buddy. Well, this guy being pretty easy to fight. I don't know if they ever confirmed it was explicitly for that reason, but yeah. They did add tripping. Which is kind of a shame, because I still prefer... I was never a big Smash Bros. Melee fan. I know that's like the sacrilege for that group. People love Smash Bros. Melee, never really moved on to playing any other Smash Bros. Game. So that game is kind of overrated. I get it's the one that you can do a lot of the advanced stuff in. Oh my god. Other than tripping, I thought Brawl was like just a much more fun game. It had Sneak and Sonic. The Subspace Emissary mode, which I was tempted to put on the list for like, oh god, for this, like playing through all the Kirby things, because it's basically a Kirby game. In all but name, it's a Kirby game. Oh my god, what is this level? And also the cutscenes in Subspace Emissary are really good. Right, I can only take 2 hits, I cannot... Well, let's take that extra life. We've lost a couple of them. No. I'm gonna die. There was health right there and I died. Okay, so now I realize I can do this. Just slightly faster. Alright. Health this time, we get an extra life again, everything's good. Oh, we didn't get those extra lives though. There's so many extra lives in this level. We getting one here? Did I hit it right? No, that's fine. I might finish up this world and then call it then, if people are doing other stuff. Thank you, Cash. It feels much better. The more I'm talking, it's still getting slightly kind of iffy, but I definitely don't feel sick anymore, which is good. Probably shouldn't have tried to stream on Monday. But you know, it was Monday night. Yeah, I always stream Monday nights. Also, I have everyone muted at the moment, but I can still hear them on the sounds and stuff. Share the screen. Nice. They should put Kirby in Among Us.
Add a Kirby.
Alright, give me a second, I'll do after this.
Add a Kirby.
3 more Kirbys.
Add a Kirby.
Kirby's. I think that's all the new ones. Oh, here's a bonus. Not technically a Kirby. Here's Waddle Dee. Camera does keep gifting slightly. Yeah, go get all the Kirbys in. That's it. King DDD is up there. Oh my god. Well, I apparently only had 1 bit of health left. Oh my god. Oh my god. What am I meant to do here? I would be heavier if I had the enemy in my mouth, but I'm not. Maybe I am if I hold a block in my mouth. I just need jump and not hover is the trick. Oh god. Maybe not. Need to stay low. Alright, we did it. There's a lot of doors. Let's see if this is a boss rush. I'm gonna be so annoyed. Oh, it's even worse. Oh, thank god. End of the level. And they gave us a bunch of health as well. There's only 1 more level and now boss in this area, so I'll just finish up this area and then we'll do it. Oh, that's always what I end up doing when I don't have anything for breakfast, Cashy. I always end up ordering something or running into the cafe or something. The amount of times I've got just like rolls and sausage delivered from somewhere nearby rather than just, you know, remember to buy it when I do my shopping is embarrassing. No! If I'd got that electricity thing, I would have been able to free the hamster. But I did not, so I cannot. The harder we're being, yeah, that's understandable. like that you can roll around as a rock in this one. I don't think any of the others have that. Oh, well, that's gone. I saw help over there. Who doesn't want to be a rock? I agree. Oh my god, right. Oh my god. It's a dead end. Level's a maze. They made a maze level. Which will become a thing that we see a lot in later Kirby games. There's a lot of maze levels in Kirby games. In fact, Kirby and the Amazing Mario is basically one big maze level. Another dead end. I can see them and this one above me. Out again there. In here. Little bubbles at these enemies. Oh god. And up we go. It's a pretty cool level. Hey, we got all these freebies. Hit it before it suddenly dims the brightness for it. Yeah. Usually it's when like the light sensor either gets covered up or has like light shining on it. But yeah, that's an annoying thing. You know what happens. Alright, boss time. What's this guy? Oh god, don't do that. Oh no. Spawn more of your children from this shit at you. Thank you. Gone. Wait, have I gone? Oh, maybe not. Two-phase boss, that's new. Don't shoot me. Yeah, so much health. spawns things for me to shoot at him so little. Come on. Oh, thank God. Oh, I need to not die. He's so close to dying. But so am I. I don't do that. I don't like that. Oh, thank God. He's dead. Another boss defeated. Good meat pancakes. That's my girlfriend's go-to whenever there's nothing for breakfast. She's just like, I can make pancakes. Always stuff for pancakes. Next level is the Dark Castle. Which I think is the biggest level. Look at that, there's 7 stages in this one. So, I'm gonna make a save state, but the game should have automatically saved. Let's find out. This is the intro to this game. It's very cute. Yeah, okay. Cool. Okay, let's go fish up. Let me quickly show, actually. This is one of the other things. There's a really cool ROM hack that someone made that makes this game have color, which is really well done, so I thought it'd be kind of cool to show. Because this game originally was just a Game Boy game, so it didn't, you know, it had very simple color palettes if you played on a Game Boy Color or a Super Game Boy or something. But this person's went in and like completely just redone everything. It looks really nice. I forget what the name of the person that made it is, but if you search for Kirby's Dream Land 2 DX, then you can find the ROM hack if it is a thing you fancy.